All right, good night. Don't panic, we're here. But as usual, folks here that you're, um, sorry about that. So, folks here that you're talking about a particular subject, and they have already called for a quick question or two. And I'm like, hey, guess what? I am actually on the air right now. So, share the link. This is just immigration talk. Immigration talk. That's it. We'll deal with politics tomorrow night and other issues, but tonight it's just about immigration talk. So if you have immigration questions, you have immigration concerns, whatever it is that's going through your mind, that is what we're here for this evening. Just about immigration, nothing else. Absolutely nothing else we are dealing with. If you have a quick question, let me just right off the bat, I wish to say that we are not here to give you legal advice. We are just here to tell you what the law says and what the policies are. It's up to you. We are not dealing with any specific case, but we are dealing in general. So if we talk about a particular matter, it is not about any particular person or their cases. We just do not do that. And so and that's just what it's about, right? So we don't want anybody to feel that we're discussing their cases personally. We just do not do that at all. And so we're just talking about what the immigration laws are and what the policies are. Again, we're not here to offer you legal advice. It's up to you to listen to what the policies are. And if you wish to proceed, it's on you. But we want to make sure, though, that we point you in the right direction. That is what this is about, right? Pointing you in the right direction. We won't want to mislead you, misguide you, or any way, shape, or form take you down a rabbit hole. We do not believe in that at all. So tonight, I just want to first of all start by saying congratulations to those clients, all of those clients at Benschop Immigration. I was going to say Benschop Ranger, right? But Benschop Immigration Consultancy, those who use their service, they have been extremely successful. We've had two success stories yesterday. Yes, someone may ask, well, do they do interviews on Saturdays? Do they do interviews on weekends? Oh, yes, they do interviews on Saturdays. Depends on the location, depends on whatever it is. And so we've had clients conduct their interviews on weekends as well. Yep. So yesterday was a really good day for one particular person. Was awaiting a result on their adjustment of status. And for those of you who may not be aware, the adjustment of status application is when you are adjusting your status from whatever you are, whether you came in on a B1, B2 visa or whatever. You're saying to USCIS you wish to adjust your status. And in adjusting your status, you basically you are doing so to become a permanent resident, and you're doing so the legal way. And mind you, all of our tips are legal tips. We do not wish for anybody to be taken down a rabbit hole. We do not wish for anybody to go about a fraudulent way in doing things. We are not about that at Benschop Immigration Consultancy. And just so you know, and sometimes oftentimes I say to people, we do liaison with lawyers as well. But as you know, I am not a lawyer. At least officially, I'm not a lawyer, at least not as yet. And I'm hoping to, hopefully, sometime very, very soon. And so whenever I talk about immigration policies, whenever I talk about immigration law, I just do not do that off the top of my head, though. And just to let you guys know that there is a certification, immigration law, which is an advanced certificate, which I received after over 1 year of 1 year of attendance in school to do what I do here now. So it's just not off the top of my head that I do these applications, or I just talk about immigration law without any proper understanding. So I have done my 1 year of immigration law studies, which is an advanced certificate. And for those of you who understand what an advanced certificate is, and this is it, and this is my credentials with immigration law studies. And like I've said, a step away from becoming a lawyer. And so I do not present myself as a lawyer. At least no one can say that I have done so. And if people address me as a lawyer, I take it as a compliment, because we do a lot of work, probably even more thorough than, anyways, let's not go that route. But I'm getting there, slowly but surely. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now let's get back to the adjustment of status applications. We've had one client that was waiting for a couple of months, and that client was excited because the good news is that they got an approval. And oftentimes when folks have to wait, especially when you go into the interview, you want to be able to leave that interview right there and then with an approval. And you can leave there right there and then with an approval. Most of our clients have left with an approval. And so the very next day, you see that approval notice. You have been approved. And that's the excitement with people. And we like when our clients we treat every single one with utmost care. And so we want to be able to, of course, a lot of people are going to call with questions. A lot of people want their documents to be looked up and so forth. And we got to balance things out because some of these clients, we have to remind them that Benschop Immigration Consultancy is actually a business. But we want to help, but we want to balance things out, mind you. And sometimes people get a little jittery. Guyanese already. They want to know what's happening. They want to know what's happening. Like a couple of folks called me and asked me if the shutdown is going to affect their applications. It wouldn't have that direct impact in terms of affecting your applications because offices are still at work. They're still reviewing your applications. We have had notifications during the shutdown. We have had approvals during the shutdown. We've had one person just text me to say that they have a biometrics, not a biographic, their interview has been sorry their interview has been set. Their interview for their fingerprinting and photograph and so forth, that's the biometric, that interview. So things are happening. And one of the things though that I say to almost all of our clients is that um, there is a little bit of a difference from last year to now. A lot of people, especially when Trump got into office, people were scared. Oh, this is going to happen to them, and there were lots of TikTokers and TikTok lawyers and TikToks and so forth. Look, it's a business for people. It's a business for lawyers and so forth. And while we operate a business as well, we want to be able to talk to people. And so you're not going to get an answering machine when you call. You're going to get us. You'll talk to me, and I'll tell you how to fix your case. And that's what we do right here at Benschop Immigration Consultancy. We walk you down a path because we want every one of you to be successful. Every single one of you to be successful, because your success story or stories, it brings happiness to us. And so that is our approach indeed. So the experiences that we have gotten so far is, one, under the Trump administration, is that a lot of documents, applications being sent in, the intake is way faster. So you're getting notifications faster. You're getting notification that your application is in the system. You're getting your receipt notice. You're getting your 797 notice sent out to you, saying, hey, you have applied. This is what's going on. And so a lot of these things are happening, and they're faster. We've had citizenship interviews in less than a month. And one of the reasons for that, I say to clients, is that when I ask you for information, give me information. If you owe child support, tell me you owe child support. If you have the evidence that you're paying that child support, show me. I need that evidence to be sent in. If you have any infraction with the law, if you have a traffic violation, if you have been arrested for something, you've got to have an open book. You've got to say it. You've got to give the documents. It's called what's the outcome of the case and so forth and so on. And so those are important information to be submitted with your application, because it makes the officer, job easier. And once the officer's job is easier, guess what? You're going to get an appointment. The officer is going to review the applications, and then they're going to be able to say, well, look, do we have the biometrics? Do we have the biometrics of this individual recently? If so, they are going to reuse it. And if there's no other information that they need from you, then guess what? You will be given an early appointment. And that is why it's important that you give. I'm not saying you give a bunch of information, but give things that are relevant. And that is what we ask for. Give us relevant stuff. We will submit your applications. We will submit the relevant documents, whether it's your passport, whether it's your birth certificate, whether it's your marriage certificate. These are things that we ask for. And we want to be able to submit a proper package to USCIS. And as long as a proper package is submitted to USCIS, and I repeat, as long as a proper package is submitted to USCIS, it's bingo. It's bingo, because it makes the office's job less stressful, and it makes it better for you. And that is why we take our time with your application. All of your applications, we take our time with it. This is not a situation where you call us and then expect it to be out tomorrow and we're going on, and patience. And that is what we oftentimes say, patience, because if you leave one box out, according to whoever the office is, they can reject your application. And not deny it, reject your application. And how things are going now, they can also deny your application. And so you've got to be extra careful. And that is what we do. That is our job, to be extra careful with your applications. And so patience is all. This is not a rush work, or you rush it and you get it out there. We want to do the best. We want the best results for you. And we've been getting those sort of results for many of our clients. And now let me say, or almost for all of our clients. Now, I want you to stick a pin here. In terms of what we expect from our clients. Let's touch on the adjustment of status. Now, what is adjustment of status? It simply means that you are in the United States of America, and you are saying to USCIS, after someone petitioned for you. Now, you can get the adjustment of status only if someone petitions for you. And it depends on who is the petitioner. Then you could think about whether you can file for adjustment of status. So if you're a big old hardback man, like let's say, for example, Keith Beresford, or who else big old and hardback watching right now? Troy Fraser, or Golly God, or who else? Wayne Caesar, or Gavin Caesar, big old hardback guys. If their parents file for them, and the parents are U.S. citizens, the parents filing for Keith or Wayne or whoever, and now we're not saying those brothers are hardback, mind you, or even Mavis or Angeli or Palawale might be a guy. But if you are an adult over the age of 21 and your parents file for you, do not expect to file for an adjustment of status right away, because you do not have any priority. You go straight to the back of the line. And that is if you are in America. If you are in the United States of America, you're an adult, your parents file for you. You do not get to adjust your status right away. You have to wait. And in most cases, several years. Years upon years, you have to wait until a visa becomes available. A visa is assigned to you. Once a visa is assigned to you, only then you can apply for adjustment of status, if you fall in that category. Now, stick a pin. If these same hardback guys like Keaton and Wayne and Golly God and them, if they have a child who is a U.S. citizen, and that child is over the age of 21 and wants to file for Keith and Wayne and whomever else, or Golly God, then guess what? The category changes, the circumstances change. They get to go to the front of the line now, not the back of the line, the front of the line. So the trick is, you have a child who is a U.S. citizen over the age of 21. If he or she files for you and you are in the United States of America, then you will be treated with priority. You will get that priority treatment, and therefore you can file for adjustment of status immediately. There's no waiting period for that. So you file your I-130 and you file your adjustment of status right away. You could do it concurrently, or you can file the I-130. You do not have to wait for the I-130 to be approved. There's no holding back as long as you're in the US. But here's the tricky thing. Not just as long as you are in the US. I want you to hear me out on this one. As long as you are in the US legally. That is what they want. You have to have a legal presence in the United States of America. Now, what does that mean? It means that you have entered the United States of America, of course, legally. And not only just that, you have the proof. That is where the I-94 comes in. And so when you are submitting your applications, you have to submit the proof that you have entered the United States of America legally. That is what they look for. And so once you have that established, then you are on the road to recovery, so to speak. And now we will touch on some of the evidence required for these sort of things. Some of the evidence required, and we will get down to that shortly. Now, any question, we will be looking in the comment section there. That's just in case you have any question thus far. We are walking through the process. We want you, all of you, especially those of you who have been panicking, and we have had to counsel folks, and say, well, look, there's really, while you have reasons to panic, we don't want you to panic, because when you panic, that's when mistakes happen, right? And we are here to calm people down. We are here to say, hey, be patient. We will get through this process. We will attempt to fix this situation for you. We will ensure that whatever we send into USCIS is legitimate, a legitimate case, and that's all we like to deal with. Legitimate cases, that is what USCIS look forward to. Legitimate cases, nothing illegal, if you know what I mean. No, as Clem David used to say, no sort of whatever the term he used there, but no sort of Jim Cock bring Ram Goat story. We want to present legal, and we want to present legitimate cases to USCIS. Once that is done, it is done properly, all the documents are submitted, then we are good. And I say this to our clients, for example, a husband filing for his wife. He is a U.S. citizen. He files for his wife. His wife is in the United States of America. Or if it's a same-sex marriage, and we have done applications with same-sex marriages, and those same-sex marriages have been successful. We walk folks through the process. They have been successful. Now let's get back to a marriage-based petition. You are a U.S. citizen. Your wife is here about 2 or 3 years, and your wife is out of status. But she came here on a B2 or a B1 visa and decided to stay with her loving husband. She doesn't want to go back to Jamaica, Guyana, or wherever. She doesn't want to go back because she wants to be here with her husband. Now, the husband files for her. You file an I-130. The I-130 is the brain of the application. And I say the I-130 is the brain of the application because if the I-130 fails, and I repeat, if the I-130 fails, then everything else collapses. If the I-130 fails, do not expect the I-485, which is the adjustment of status, to be successful. Do not expect the I-765, which is the work authorization, to be successful, or the I-131, which is the travel document. Do not expect those documents to be successful if the I-130 fails. That is why, guys, it is important, and I repeat, it is important that whoever is filling out your applications for you, whoever is filing your applications, whether it's a preparer, whether it's an immigration consultant, or whether it's a lawyer. People do make mistakes. Lawyers do make mistakes. Lawyers do get denials. I know of some lawyers got a lot of denials. Mind you, mistakes do happen. But you don't want to have folks who are doing your documents to be making mistakes. That is why it's important that whoever is preparing your documents for you, whether it's a preparer, whether it's a family member, if you feel you can do it on your own and you want to take the chance in doing it, fair enough, fair enough. But you've got to know what applications to file. First of all, you got to have the right edition. You can't just print out an application that is old in terms of the edition. If you print out an application that is old and you submit an old edition, they're going to reject the application. But the new law, based on what Trump administration has said to USCIS, it's up to the officer now to reject the application, or the other option the officer has is to deny the application. Now, you do not want a denial. Here's why. You do not want that denial because with a denial, the officer has his or her discretion again to place you immediately in removal. No one wants to be placed in removal. And so it is important that when you are doing your application, or whoever is doing your application for you, whether it's a preparer, whether it's a consultant, or whether it's a lawyer, you want to be able to have that patience and allow those folks who are doing your application to get it done and get it done properly. This is not a Speedy Gonzales kind of thing. It has to be done. And this is what we stress on all of our clients. Be patient. Some of you in the audience might have heard that from me. And maybe some, be patient. Be patient. Get it done and get it done properly. That is what we do right here. We are, right, Golly God, we are like perfectionists. We want it. We want it to be done properly because we want the success stories for you. We want you. And so with this, a client messaged earlier tonight. Of course, we don't show our clients' names. We don't show our clients' photographs, especially in these times too. But this is what the client said. Good evening, Mr. Benschop. Just wanted to let you know I have received my green card in the mail. Many thanks again. And that is from a client. And these are the sort of messages that we want to hear, right? Of course, sometimes, or in most cases, we at Benschop Consultancy, we get a notification, so we see the results. And I say we see the results because we can check on the status. So when we do your application, right, Leon and others, when we do your application, and I'm not saying Leon is one, but when we do your application, we do not just fill your applications out and say, hey, that's it. No, we babysit your application. We go the extra mile for you because we want you to have a success story. And that is what we do at Benschop Consultancy. Now, with the application through marriage-based petition, I have encountered some folks who said, They have done it maybe by themselves, a family member, a preparer, or even a lawyer. And then the question, or even a consultant, the question I usually ask first. Now, let me make this quite clear. I'm not here to bash anybody. People are in business, and as long as they're in business, I'm not here to run anyone down. I'm not here to run a lawyer down. I'm not here to run a consultant down, an immigration consultant, or a preparer. I'm not here to run anybody down. I do not do that. When clients call me and they complain about maybe a lawyer, maybe somebody, or I'm like, no, let's not do that. Let's focus on what the issue is. Now, when you file a marriage-based petition, I-130 is the heart of the application. A lot of people have made this mistake, including some lawyers, have made this mistake to not file two applications. Two applications need to be filed. That is the I-130 and the I-130A, the supplement. You have to file the I-130A, especially in these times. Now, in the past, you might have been able to file just the I-130. But now, don't take those chances. You have to file the supplement. The supplement is the I-130A. What is the I-130A? The I-130A is just additional information, maybe the same information that you already put in the I-130, but they're asking specifically that is just an application for the beneficiary. So if you file for your wife, the I-130A will be the additional information about the wife, about the spouse, the beneficiary. That is all that it is. And it is important that you do file that, because if you don't file it and you go in front, your application goes in front of a USCIS officer, and that officer covers every corner, every area. They will send you an RFE, which is a request for evidence. Now, it's up to the officer whether he or she wants to send you that RFE, the request for further evidence, or they want to deny the case totally. And now most officers, of course, they use their discretion. They do not deny just like that. They send an RFE, the request for evidence, and they say, look, we need to have a complete I-130A, the I-130 supplement. So do not make that mistake at all. Just do not make that mistake at all. Now, the other thing is, some folks are of the view that you have to pay a fine. So if you are filing for your wife has overstayed, you being the petitioner. Sorry, I was just distracted because I just got a message from someone. But like I said, we don't show names, we don't show photographs, but I'm sure the person is watching, and the person is watching. And this was a consular interview process with a gentleman who has applied for his family, and they have had hiccups and upon hiccups, and we've been dealing with this here, the hiccups, and advising what's the best way forward and so forth. And the gentleman who is watching, I'm sure, has just messaged to say, good night, Mark. My family got through. Thanks. And now these are real messages, mind you. You guys know I don't beat around the bush with these sort of things. And so these are the cases that we love to hear. We love when people get through. And this guy had a very, a somewhat complicated case. And you guys have to, and I want to touch on that. I wasn't planning on touching on that tonight, maybe some other night. But I'll touch on it before I get back to the marriage base, since this individual just messaged me. Now, when you have an application for consular interview, it simply means that you have applied for your relative, maybe your husband back in Guyana, and they have to go to the U.S. Embassy in Guyana for an interview. You've got to stay on top of your case. Do not take things for granted. If they say act, you've got to act. Because if you don't act within a year, they are going to close your case. They are going to terminate your case. And a lot of folks don't even know that their cases have been terminated. A lot of them don't. And so we usually have to we usually have to write to NVC asking for them to reopen the case. And the reason why we ask, and it's to the discretion of the officer whether they want to reopen the case or not, because all those years have gone by, you've spent your money, and that is what we do also. We work to get your case reopened. You've got to get a good reason. You just can't write to them and say, reopen my case now, and they're going to reopen it just like that. And so the process is tedious. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of research, and sometimes it's a lot of writing. And we go the extra mile with people by even getting in touch with a USCIS officer, ensure that that person is on, the beneficiary or the petitioner is on the phone, so that they're not only hearing it from us, they're hearing it directly from an immigration officer, from a USCIS officer. And of course, the USCIS officer, since I'm the immigration consultant, they're just not going to give me that information. They are going to talk to me, but they want you, the beneficiary or the petitioner, to be on the line. And they're going to ask you a couple of questions to ensure that it is you. They're going to ask you your date of birth, whatever it is that they ask you, to ensure that, of course, they're satisfied that it is you. And once they are satisfied that it is you, the petitioner or the beneficiary, they're going to say, do you give us, meaning USCIS, permission to speak with the individual, if it's Benschop or whoever? And you have to say yes. As long as you say yes, then they will proceed. And so that is as far as we go. We go all out for our clients. We do not beat around the bush. We take all of our clients seriously and we respect them. And all we ask is for patience. Some Guyanese can get patience, They feel as though their case is the only one in the world you're working on. What's going on, right? And of course, with a smile on our face, right, Keith? And others, we say, patience. We will get there. Patience. Now, so this particular client with his entire family, a bunch of zigzagging on their case, it was shut down, they had to reopen it, and all manner of things. And look, it's pleasing that this gentleman just messaged to say that he has gotten through. And earlier in the night, another message to say that they received their green card. And that is good. That is what we love to hear. Now, let's get back to the marriage-based petition. And there are a few things that I want to spend a couple of minutes here on marriage-based petition. Now, some people feel that they have to pay a fine. So if your wife, in this case, if your wife overstays her time in the U.S. or visitor's visa, and you're filing for her, you're a U.S. citizen and you're filing for her, and you file your adjustment of status, you do not have to pay a fine. I repeat, you do not have to pay a fine. If your U.S. citizen child files for you, and again, that child has to be over the age of 21, you do not have to pay a fine. Do not let anyone tell you that you have to pay a fine. You do not have to pay a fine. Now, I don't know if it's going to change later on, but as of now, you do not have to pay a fine. Simple as that. Okay, so let's touch on the marriage-based petition. What USCIS officers, what are they looking for in a marriage-based petition? You guys know, all of you out there should know what USCIS officials are looking for. USCIS officials are looking to ensure that it is not a sham marriage, that it is not a fake marriage. And that is why they use the term bonafide. They want to make sure that Reggie and Ann Court are married to each other for real. And that's just an example of two of you watching there, and Reggie, or Marlon and Keith. Or Audrey and sorry, you can't just show up at Benschop Immigration Consultancy or anybody else and just give them a marriage certificate. No, it's not going to work. The marriage certificate is important because they want to see that you are legitimately married to each other. And so they have the marriage certificate. Then you have to have other evidence to show that you are in a bona fide marriage, such as if you have bank accounts in your names together, if you have any bills, if you have any lease or whatever in your names together. They want to see a connection, that y'all living home together, that y'all are man and wife, and the evidence is there to present. They want to see photographs. They want to see if you have the marriage photographs. They want evidence from someone who witnessed that marriage, that wedding, and to say, look, I was there. So if you get 2 or 3, so the stronger the application is with the evidence, the better your chances are. So you can't send in just a thin piece of thing, a marriage certificate, and that's it. It is not going to work. Now, someone may get lucky and it work, but you have to prove your case, that it's a bona fide marriage. And that is what we say to all of our clients. Give us the evidence. We are going to ask you for the evidence. We're going to call you back and say, we need more. When we call you back and we say we need more, simply we want you to stand a good chance in getting a success story out of this. We don't say you need more because we ain't got nothing better to do and we call you back to say we need more. We need more because we are not satisfied that we are going to send this application in as is. So we may put it aside and say, good, let's go over to Gully God's application now, or let's go over to Leon's application now, and let us put Gully God's application aside, because we need more evidence. We are not satisfied with it at this point in time. So we are not going to rush it. We're not going to rush to send it through tomorrow. Let it wait. And so we go to someone else. Okay, what's happening here? Are we satisfied with this application? Good. We are satisfied with Doreen's application. Let Doreen's application go through. We will go back to Gully God's application later. So we may call Gully God and say, hey, we need some more information. And Golly God, man, what kind of more information? No, we need some more information because we want to help you. That is our job. Our job is to make your story a success story. Now, and I say this to all of our clients, we are not going to take a case and just out of the sake of, oh, we get a case and rush to get another case. No, we spend time with your case. We talk to you. Some message me 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. I tell you some stories, 6 o'clock in the mornings. Now, I don't get angry because I understand people's predicament. I understand their situations, even though I would prefer that people contact us at a respectable time, maybe after 7:30, 8 o'clock and so forth, but not 5 or 6 in the morning. Now, we do not yell at people for that, but we would hope that they would message us at a reasonable time, that is. But I say all of this to say is that we put ourselves in the individual shoes. We know how you feel. We know that you're anxious. We know because of the situation out there, how you guys are feeling. And me coming from a human rights background, I understand you. That is why we want to help you, because we have that understanding from a human rights standpoint. And that is why it is important for us that we fix your application the correct way. We do it and we put what USCIS is looking for. Now, your application is completed. Your I-130 is completed. Your adjustment of status is completed. Your I-130A is completed. And if you want your work authorization, that also we are going to do. We complete all of these things for you. We put it in a package if it's done concurrently so that everything can be sent in at the same time. And everything, it's at least 4 to 5 applications with all of the evidence. So it's not a 1 hour or 2 hour. It's a heck of a lot of work to look through. And what we do, at least I personally go over those applications no less than 5 times. I'm telling you guys, I'm being straight up with you guys, no less than 5 times before it is sent out. Now, when you're sending out an adjustment of status application, don't forget that you have to send in your medical as well. You have to send in your affidavit of support as well. You've got to get the tax information. You've got to get the proper tax information. Otherwise, they are going to send it back to you. Or if there's an error or they're confused about something, they will send it back to you. And that is what we try to avoid. And so we'd want to make sure that even with an adjustment of status application and the affidavit of support, is that you make sufficient, the person that is sponsoring you makes sufficient money. If they don't make sufficient money, they got to look for a co-sponsor. And that co-sponsor has to make sufficient money. That co-sponsor has to be a resident of the United States of America or a citizen. All of these things. So it is not just an easy task. Those of you who have done it before know exactly what I'm talking about. Patience. That is all. Patience. Now, once the applications are completed, I repeat, once the applications are completed, guess what? Once those applications are completed, we sit back. You guys get all of the information, but we also get to monitor those information. But we put everything in your hands. We want to be transparent. We are transparent. So you get to see everything. You get all of your letters directly from USCIS. You get to read them. You get to see them. If you don't understand anything, somebody would call and say, hey, Mark, X, Y, or Z. We want all of us to be on the same page. So we are not going to fill your application out and you don't know what's going on. No, we don't do that. We do not fill your applications out and you don't know what we're putting in those applications. No, every single thing we put in the application comes from you. Every single thing, your passport information, your parents' names, your children's names, all these things, where you live, and we give your address. That is how we do things, because we want to be transparent with you. No jiggery pokery, absolutely none at all. So once we are satisfied that your applications are ready to go, then we let it go. We send it in. We let it go. We send it in. We are satisfied now. We call up. We say, golly God, your application is in. We show you the evidence that it is in. We do not hide anything from anyone. We show you the evidence along the way. Many of you might be watching. Some of you are past clients, or so you know how we operate. You get the evidence. Hey, your application just sent off. Hey, your application was just accepted in the system. Hey, you have an interview date for biometrics coming up. Hey, I don't see them calling you for an interview as yet. Let's send some sort of a notification to them and see, hey, what's happening here? So that is how we treat your case. Now, once you get your biometrics, if they ask for biometrics and they schedule you for your interview, now this is where it gets important. We don't just put our hands up and say, you're on your own now. We did our job. We fill your applications out. We send everything in. We stayed on top of the situation, your case. Now the interview date has been scheduled. You're up on your own. No. That is not us. We walk you through all the way into the interview on that day. Now, I don't personally go in with you, but we walk you in, meaning that we prepare you. Now, that's the extra mile we go for our clients. We prepare you. We tell you, tomorrow I have a client that's going in for a marriage-based petition. And just prior to coming on the air, I said to her, we don't really have to tell you how to dress, and don't that's the point. Don't overdo the do. Don't overdress. Don't throw the whole, and I said to the client for tomorrow's interview, don't throw the whole bottle of cologne or perfume on you. Do not do that. Just something simple, a little tip here, right? Because you don't want to walk into the USCIS interview and I noticed Golly God. Golly God is always with us. He's helping us, and thank you, Golly God. Is decided to put our number up, and of course we don't expect folks to call us now, but that's our number for Benschop Immigration Consultancy, 917-714-1082. Thank you so much, Golly God. Now, we want you to walk into that interview prepared. And so we prepare you. We try our best. And so we say to you, not because we got you booked for an interview, now we job done. It's kind of, but because when you go into that interview, it is not on me. And now let me make it clear. It is on you. And that is why we say to you, if it's a marriage-based petition, husband and wife, y'all got to know each other. You can't tell me you're going to go into that interview and the officer asks, what's your wife's date of birth? And you do not know your wife's date of birth. April 1st, 1904. And it's not even April 1st. Then the officer is going to look like, really? And then turn to your wife and say, what is your husband's date of birth? And you know your husband's date of birth. Your husband get 3 picnic, you say 4. You get 2 kids, your husband say he can't remember how many kids you have, or what are the ages of the kids, or the date of births of the kids. The point that I'm making is you've got to know each other. They ask personal questions, and real personal questions. Now, I'm not saying that because they ask Jamal Aziz 10 questions that they're going to ask Doreen the same 10 questions. No. Each case is different. Each interview is different. It depends on the circumstances. So don't let somebody come to you and say, I know Savitri went through, and they asked Savitri this, and Savitri had to carry. No. Savitri's case might be different from Miss Booker's case. So each case is different, but you still have to be prepared. They ask personal questions such as, what's the color of your bedroom? Y'all have a TV in y'all bedroom? What floor do you guys live? Now, if you live on the first floor, you say first floor, and your husband said 4th floor, what do you think going to happen there? They even ask, how much do you pay rent? They ask each other these questions. They ask, what did you eat this morning? What your husband like? Well, how does your husband go to work? All these sort of things. How did you guys get here this morning? Suppose somebody said, one said train and the other one said bus. So do not contradict each other. If you contradict each other and you're not forthcoming in that interview, well, that's why I say it's on you, right? It's on you. Because you don't expect me to be in that interview with you to answer those questions, or a lawyer to be in it. The lawyer cannot answer those questions. No one can answer those questions for you. Only you and your spouse can answer those questions. That is why the marriage has to be a bona fide marriage. Now, I've had a client, as soon as they got out and they're happy, they were surprised that the interviewing officer asked them, where did they meet first? They said where they met, and the officer went as far as asking them, when was the first time they made love? And now, forgive me for saying that, but that is exactly like a client of mine is saying, it is true. Those are the questions that the people ask indeed. Thank you, sir. Now, while I was just briefly distracted there, they asked those questions. Now, the guy called me. The guy said, oh, come on, Mark. These guys asked those questions. When was the first time they made love? They ask them, when are you guys planning on getting kids? And all these different things. So it's different. Everybody's case is different. You know, Guyanese is always kind of, oh, I get a cousin went in there. They don't ask much questions, man. Or they just separate y'all, you know. No. They do separate, but every case is different. And so when I advise a client, it's basically, look, don't tell me about Golligard case. Don't tell me about Jamal case. Don't tell me about Keith case. Don't tell me about Wayne case or Denise case or anybody's case. I want to talk to you about your case. I am preparing you for your case. I am preparing you for success. That is what we do. Don't tell me somebody said this or you saw something on TikTok. Oh, gosh, I don't like when people go, TikTok, TikTok. No. And so it's up to the officer. And this is why if they are somewhat suspicious of the marriage, they are going to, and they don't necessarily have to be suspicious. They want to cover every grounds. So if they separate you guys, if they put you in one office and your husband in the other office, it's because they want to make sure that this is the right decision. They don't do it because they are suspicious that it's not a bona fide marriage. They just want to cover their grounds. And every officer operates differently. So even if you're separated from each other, do not panic. Just be honest with the questions. And that is why it's important that y'all know each other, live with each other, know each other, your date of birth, what color is your bedroom. Y'all get TV in y'all bedroom and so forth. They asked one client and his wife, asked the husband, what his wife wore to bed last night. All these sort of things. So be prepared. All I'm saying is be prepared. I have some clients going in tomorrow. I have some further down this week, and I have quite a few of them going in mid-month and by the end of this month. I want all of them to have success stories because we prepare them for success. Now, success for us is not just when they go through that door. We want them to be honest. We want them to know each other, and we want them to present a case that is bona fide in the case of a marriage-based petition. Now, with a marriage-based petition, if you are going in there and you have kids together, it makes it easier because there's not much more to be proved. Now, if you have kids together and you go in there and you fail that interview, something wrong with you. Now, I'm not being insulted by saying something wrong with you because in the eyes of the immigration officers, in the eyes of the USCIS officer, this is a bona fide marriage because y'all have kids together and so forth and so on. And they see this here as not just for immigration benefit. That's how they may see most of those cases. And so when you have a child or you have children and you go in there, they're more relaxed. I had one client went in there just about, I think, a week ago or so, and they have a child, the client and husband, of course. They have a child together, and they don't just stop because you have a child and approve, but having a child together makes it easier. I'm not saying that it is done and you get an approval with a child. No, it makes it easier. And all of the cases that we have done at Benschop Immigration, folks with children get through by the next day. Now, let me see. Is there any question at all as we dealt with the marriage base there? Because we want to see that success story the next day. Sometimes you don't get it the next day, and sometimes you get it a month or 2 months after. Like we have a client that yesterday, after waiting a couple of months, guess what? They got their approval. And so when the officers are not too comfortable with the questions that answered, or maybe there's a question mark somewhere, they know that the marriage is bona fide, but they just have a question. There are a few question marks somewhere based on how you responded, how the beneficiary and the petitioner, how they responded to the officer. The officer, well, I'm not too comfortable with what I'm hearing here. I suspect that the marriage is a bona fide marriage, but there's something that I want to clarify first. And so they're going to put that petition, they're going to put your case on hold while they do their investigations. And once they are once they are complete, they have completed their investigation, they'll make that final decision. And that final decision with that client yesterday was basically approved. One of the happiest clients I've had so far. Approved. And clients do like to hear and see that big word, approved. Now, the client didn't know he or she, they didn't know that they were approved until when I checked, and approved. Approved. All right. I noticed somebody saying wrong topic. I'm not sure what's that wrong topic about. Somebody's asking, how was my day? Right. Great. Thank you. Now, let's move on from that. And I want to deal with asylum applications. As you guys know, there's a fee now for asylum applications. It used to be free. Asylum applications used to be free. It's no longer free. You have to pay a fee. And the fee is, don't let anybody tell you anything else. The fee is $100. $100 you have to pay. And those of you who have asylum applications in the system, whether it's 2 years ago, whether it's 3 or 4 years ago, whether it's 2 years ago or, I don't know, man, who asked me about bridge name and them stuff? Like this person come to distract us or what? Sorry about that, guys. You know, so we talking about immigration, you talking about bridge name after. Right? We'll deal with that tomorrow. Sorry about that, guys. We'll deal with that tomorrow, right? So now they will send you guys an application. Sorry, a letter, notification that you have to pay $100 for those years. So if you have 1 year ago you filed, or 2 years ago you filed for an asylum application, they will send you a notice that you have to pay $100 each for those years. Now, I have someone, a client who called, person became a client, said that whoever did their asylum application, whether it's a lawyer or whatever, like I said, we're not here to knock anybody. And we're not going to do that either. But apparently the person who filed their application saying now that they have to pay USCIS $1,100. Now, that's not true. It's not $1,100. Now, I don't know who would want to do that to people. It's just $100. You don't have to pay USCIS $1,100 for your asylum application. It's $100 you have to pay them. 100, right, Leighton Charles? $100. That is what it is. But, you know, people do things differently out there, man. So asylum applications. Now, let me say this about the asylum application. Now, you want to, if you're filing asylum applications, you have to have proper evidence. And we at Benschop Immigration Consultancy, we do not file frivolous documents. If we file a document, an application or a petition, we want meat. So if you are going to be filing an asylum application, we want meat. Now, with asylum, and what do I mean by meat? The evidence claiming whatever it is that you're claiming, we've got to send in evidence to back your case up. Otherwise, the application may just be a weak application, and at some point in time, it may be denied. But the stronger the evidence, the better you are in terms of your chances. Now, the other thing with asylum applications, as long as you are in the US, once you enter the US, the time clock starts to click. You have within 1 year to file your asylum application. Within that 1 year, you have to file your asylum application. Now, even if you file it after the 1 year, you can do that, but you have to have a good explanation saying to USCIS that you're filing over the 1 year, but this is the reason why you are filing late. And you offer an explanation, and you never know. That officer can use his or her discretion, but you have to file an application for asylum within that 1 year you are in the United States of America. All right, and we do have some asylum applicants, and we wish them all the best. Now let's touch on work permit. Some folks have called and they say, hey, they're on a visitor's visa and they want a work permit. And no, wait a minute. We can't file work permit just like that for you. You're on a visitor's visa, and just to file a work permit, we just don't do that. In order for a work permit to be filed, you have to have someone have to petition for you. In the case, if you have a U.S. citizen wife or husband who filed for you and you do your adjustment of status and so forth, yep, you get a work permit. You can apply for a work permit, and it's, what is it? The 765 is the work permit. And once you file your work permit together with your adjustment of status application, it's only $260. And so that's another thing, the fees and so forth. Now, other people may tell you different. We are not here, again, to bash other people and how they do things and how lawyers do things, or how a preparer or a immigration consultant. We are not here. We are here to tell you how we do things, and we follow whatever the policies are, whatever the rules are. We do follow those rules, mind you. And so someone calls just like that to say, can you file a work permit? No, we cannot do that. You have to have a sponsor. You have to have someone petition for you, whether it's an employer or whether it's a family-based petition or whatever. But just like that, as a B1, B2 in the US, and you just want to work and you want a permit, no, we do not do that. Now, there might be other people who might tell you that they are able to do it. If you know what I mean. But we are not here. We are here to talk about what we do, right? But you've got to be very careful, though, with people who would say that they can get you a work permit. It might be nice for the first 6 months, nice for the first year, but it generally it comes back to haunt you, and it comes back to haunt you in a very brutal way. And so be very, very careful with these sort of things. You know what I mean? Be extra careful. Now, before we go, I just said that I was going to be on for over an hour. I want to touch on this here, VAWA application. VAWA. We have done quite a few VAWA applications at Benschop Immigration Consultancy. We have done that. We have done that. And VAWA applications are sensitive applications. Now, when you're doing a VAWA application, guys, whenever you're doing a VAWA application, whether it's an abused current or former spouse, file within 2 years of a divorce. So if you are married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident and you guys divorce and there was no petition filed, or even if a petition was filed or whatever, and you decide now that you want to file a VAWA petition, if you are divorced from your husband or your wife, you have to file a VAWA within 2 years. Within 2 years. If you're an abused child, and we've had 2 applications, abused child, and we have gotten notification that what is it? A prima facie case has been made out because we present the evidence. You have to prepare a proper VAWA application. With a VAWA application, you can also file for travel documents. You can also file for work permits and so forth. But it has to be a legitimate VAWA application. I stress on the word legitimate VAWA application. You, the applicant, have to know what is in your application. And so we sit with you and we prepare, we go line for line. We ask for the evidence. We present the evidence. And all of our VAWA applicants have been successful thus far. because we presented proper evidence. And the VAWA applicants, petitioner, they know what's in their application. So in the event that an interview pops up, they know exactly all of the evidence presented. They can speak on that. You don't want a VAWA application to be filled out and you don't know what's in your application. You don't know what is filed. You don't know what sort of abuse. You don't know anything. Now that's going to get you in serious trouble. It's going to be problematic down the road. So whenever people are filing your application for you or filling out your application, you have to know what is inside of the application. Do not allow people to do your application blindly. All because you want an opportunity to get a work permit or whatever. It's going to come back to haunt you. It's going to come back to bite you. And you don't want that to happen to you, because when you go to an interview, USCIS officer, they have access to all of the applications in the system. And if you are in front of an officer that's diligent, an officer that goes the extra mile to do their job, they are going to pop that application up. And now here is what's going to happen. You have a VAWA application that was prepared without you knowing what the heck is inside. So how now you have a new application in the system, maybe through marriage or maybe through an adult son or daughter who's a US citizen. How will you explain what's in the application when you don't know anything? And you don't want that VAWA, that first application, to contradict the information, to contradict your new application. It can, it's a bit ticklish. And that is why you've got to be extra careful, guys. Extra careful. Now, if you have two applications in the system, and some people seem to think that because questionable VAWA was filed, and then now folks have a legitimate application, maybe through marriage or whatever, that is in the system, that it is the reason why the VAWA application has been denied. No, that is not. VAWA applications are denied because there's insufficient information, insufficient evidence. And then in some cases, there is what is called an RFE, request for more evidence. Now, if you don't know the transaction between who prepared your VAWA application and the correspondences from USCIS, you don't know what's happening. You're left like Stevie Wonder, so to speak. You don't know what is happening, and that's dangerous, mind you. Now, let's move away from the VAWA application, other than if you are going to do a VAWA application, or anyone who's doing a VAWA application, you've got to sit with them and you've got to know what's inside. That is what we do with our clients. We sit with them. We say, what's the circumstances? What evidence do you have? Have you guys been married? Oh, yeah, we need a marriage certificate. We need evidence that you guys have lived together and so forth. And all of our VAWA applications or applicants have received notice of a bona fide case has been made out, and their letter of 1 year. Within that 1 year, they will get to hear back. But within that year, they're considered to be legal. And we are happy with that. We are happy because they give us what is supposed to be the right information, and we presented a legitimate VAWA application to USCIS officer. Those applicants have received their work permit, they can work, and they've received their temporary social security number, social security cards, and they're happy for the time being because they want those VAWA applications to be approved. And we are confident that at some point in time, their applications will be approved without any hassle. Now, take for example, if they decide now to get married and they file a new application through their spouse and they want to withdraw the VAWA application, you know the new application, the information on the new application, like names and so forth and so on, will not be any different from the old application. But you don't want an application in the system and then you have a new application and things are contradicting each other. That is when eyebrows are going to raise on the part of USCIS officers. So be very careful, guys. We can touch on this a little later. It's ticklish for some people. And I say for some because it's very ticklish. Very ticklish. USCIS officers are scraping everything up. Fine. So be very careful, guys. So let me see here. There's a question from Ishan Mohammed. I am married to a U.S. citizen and abandoned, and I never divorced, and I have one child, 21 years of age. Now, Inshan, sorry, if you are abandoned and the evidence is there to prove that you have been abandoned and that the marriage has been entered in good faith, and that, of course, if you guys have a child together, if this child is yours and the wife, then the case is easier. If the child is a U.S. citizen over 21 years, of course, 21 years and a U.S. citizen, that child can file for you. But if now you wish to do a VAWA and you feel that you can present the evidence that you entered into this marriage in good faith and based on circumstances and so forth, you guys didn't get along, and you want to file a VAWA, I think this would be what is considered a legitimate VAWA application. Present your case properly, present your evidence properly. If there's ever been any police story, if you ever get put out, if you ever had to go in a shelter, if you ever had to seek counseling, and these sort of things. So those are things that help to make your case stronger. And I hope that answers your question. Now, we're not here to give you any legal advice. We're giving what the law allows and the policies are as it pertains to your question and VAWA. But if your child is a U.S. citizen and over the age of 21, and you are in the U.S. legally, then you can have your child over the age of 21 and a U.S. citizen file for you. Now let's touch on what is this now? Citizenship application. Citizenship application is getting a little harder now. You have to prove that you've been doing well in your community, that you have a job, that you're paying taxes, and that you have stayed out of trouble. And even if you've gotten into trouble, an explanation, if it's not any big trouble and these sort of things, then for the most part, you are good to go. You are good to go, but you have to read and write. You have to answer the questions appropriately. You have to write a line. They might ask you, who is the president of the White House? In the White House. So you have to write that. Who is the president in the White House? If you don't understand a question, ask them to repeat it, please. But don't ask them all the time. What is that? What is that? No. Listen carefully and you'll be able to pass your citizenship exam. If you are uncomfortable, if you feel that you're not ready yet, do some more studying. If they set your appointment date and you feel that you're not ready yet, ask them to reschedule. Ask that it be rescheduled. All of these things you can do. But if you fail to turn up, then can't eat your dinner. They are going to deny your application. They are going to deny your application. And it's getting harder and harder and harder, or more difficult, right? So I hope you guys are prepared. The fees have gone up to, it's $760 if you're doing it, mailing in the N400, or if you're filing online, it's $710, depending on you. Now, speaking of fees now and the money, let me say this, as of October, as of the end of October, this is what USCIS is going to be doing. They're no longer going to accept personal checks. They're no longer going to accept money orders. They're not going to do that. You have to have a debit card or a credit card, and there's a form that you have to fill out, a simple form, to put your credit card or your debit card information on that form, sign it, and attach it to your applications. As of November 1st, it's done with. No more money orders, no more personal checks. Strictly debit cards or credit cards, and that's it. Anything else we can talk about? one other thing I want to talk, the removal of conditions. Notice there's no green card number. This person, they've been given, well, this is, this is not the 2-year green card, but the 2-year green card is if you're married under 2 years, your marriage is under 2 years. And the reason for the conditions is they want to ensure that y'all stick together. And so you have to stick together until that 2 years is up. So now before the 2 years expires, you will have to send in an application to remove the conditions, which is the 751. And you're just not going to write to them and say, you want to remove the conditions. You have to give them evidence. Evidence that you guys have been still in a bona fide marriage, evidence that y'all traveled together, I went out on some vacation somewhere, and you have to show them that evidence, whether it's a plane ticket, whether it's a bicycle ticket, y'all jump on a bicycle and go to California, or jump on a plane or Amtrak or whatever. They want that evidence. They want evidence that y'all accumulate some other things together. Y'all file taxes together and so forth and so on. Those are the things, and maybe in the process, y'all had a child also together. So once you send in the evidence and ask them now to remove the conditions of your green card and give your 10-year green card, they are going to review the evidence and so forth. But because of the backlog in that, a lot of times you're getting a 48 months extension. If you get a 48 months extension, there's no need for you to twist up your mouth and get vexed and so forth. It's simple because they're backlogged. That's it. So now you get a 48 months extension on a 2-year conditional green card. As soon as you reach 2 years, 9 months into that green card, guess what you can do? You can file for citizenship. Now, we've had a client who, somebody called, and the client say, hey, the conditions in remove, but somebody tell them, man, you go to Benschop for Benschop. Benschop is not a lawyer, but trust me, we do hard work here. Sometimes we make some lawyers cringe as to how we are successful with almost all of these cases, including a 290B. When you have a case that's denied, and we've had lawyers who have had their clients' case denied, and their clients came to us, and we were able to be successful to have their cases reopened and subsequently approved. So it goes both ways, lawyers sometimes can finish the work, and sometimes a preparer or consultancy may get a little stumbling block somewhere. So it goes both ways, right? But we're not here to knock anybody. We're not here to knock the lawyers. We're not here to knock consultants. We're not here to knock preparers. We're just here to talk about what we do. And that is why we want people to focus on themselves, and let's focus on the issues, right? And so with the removal of the conditions now, the individual called, somebody said, man, no, go to somebody else in Queens, right? So they came to, and they had a situation. We advised them. They went, and guess what? The conditions were removed. But before we got them for the conditions to be removed, before we got to that point, guess what? Before we got to that point, we said to them, you can file for your citizenship. The person was shocked. I said, yeah. Even with a conditional green card, as long as you reach 2 years, 9 months, you can, and you get that 48 months extension, you can file for your green card. The individual, we file the 751, and we file the, well, of course, they already got their 48 months extension, mind you. So we sent in that information along with their N400 application. Now, you can't get the citizenship interview before the conditions are removed, but they could do both interviews simultaneously. In this particular situation, they called the individual in almost a couple months after to remove his conditions. Of course, they had to go in, man and wife had to go in together. They removed the conditions, issued his 10-year green card, and about a month or 2 months after, called him in for his citizenship interview. He is a citizen of the United States of America today. And the person who advised him, don't go to Benschop, go to somebody in Queens, they're still to get their situation fixed. Sorry about that. I had to do that, but we're not here to talk about it. Right? Sometimes you hear some stories, though. You have to laugh. So, if that person who is today a U.S. citizen, congratulations to you. Somebody's asking, what is the price for U.S. citizenship? Marcus Singh is asking. The cost to prepare an N400 depends. It all depends. And I say to my clients, we at Benschop Immigration Service, we like to work with people, right? We like to work with people. And so Marcus Singh, we're not going to say X or Y or Z amount for or to prepare. We prefer to deal one-on-one with the individual. So if you have a situation, feel free to give us a call right here on 917-714-1082. And we prepare your stuff for you, and we work along with individuals. So quickly, though, before we go, the removal of the conditions is important. And even if you and your wife left, or you and your husband left, you get kicked out, or whatever the circumstances, we are able to listen to you, and we try to build a case. And don't be dissuaded. Just don't feel that because your wife left you or your husband left you, that's the end of the road, the tunnel. No. You can still get your conditions removed. We have done it on several occasions, and we can do it again. Just give us the evidence, talk about the circumstances, and we will send that application in with the legitimate evidence that you have. And we will say to USCIS that the marriage was entered in good faith. And it's not your fault that you get left. But these are the evidence. We are submitting evidence. We just had a case recently. They've extended the individual by 48 months. The individual was the happiest person. They're all happy persons, right? Sorry that I sound like the guy that's living in 1600. Oh, they're all happy person. We love when people are happy. So do not, we say that we are the immigration mechanics. We fix your cases. The most difficult cases, we fix them. We're in the process of, we fix your N600 cases as well. If you are a derived beneficiary of citizenship, something may have happened, you haven't got it, we fix those cases. But now you've got to be careful. One guy was filing his citizenship application, but instead of doing the N400, he started the N600. I had to smile. I said, no. And the person is a QC grad too, right? Sorry, I tend to throw little shades now and then. So any other question before we go? I think that's about it. I thought I was going to be on for just about 30 minutes, but it's almost 1 hour and 30 minutes, almost 1 hour and 30 minutes. Now, here's what I want to say to you. If you're going through some immigration situation, don't give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and that is what we say to our clients. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We ask you to be patient. We ask you to be honest. We ask you to be straightforward. Don't beat around the bush at all. Just do not beat around the bush at all. Put all of your cards on the table, and as long as it is a legitimate case, we are going to work for you. Anything outside of that, if it's not legitimate, we're not going to fancy things up for you. We're not going to build a case for you that is not legitimate. We're not going to do that at all. You respect us, we respect you guys. That is all. We have a good, cordial relationship. And that is why you contact us to get a job done. And we do our best, and we get the best results for all of you. Now, if you walk in there and you get a denial, it's on you. We say it's on you. Okay, you got to know your husband's date of birth. You got to know where y'all live. You got to, but we don't want you to mess up. That is why we walk you through the process from beginning to end. And I noticed someone in our accounts department is saying hi too. Good night to our folks in the accounts department. Anyways, just had to mention that. I am out of here. Marcus Singh and all of you guys, Zion Bong, every single one of you. Keith Beresford, thank you. You know, go out there. If you like a child born abroad, we do those applications as well. The RIF citizens beneficiary, we do those applications as well, and we do a lot of tough cases because we do like tough cases. One, it makes us work harder in order to get it fixed, and that's what we do. We want the best results for everybody. That's why we at Benschop Immigration Consultancy, we like to describe ourselves as the immigration mechanics. We get those things fixed for you. I'm out of here. See you guys tomorrow on Straight Up, same place, same time. And if you have any questions, feel free to call me tomorrow, anytime after 8 or anytime after 9 on 917-714-1082. If you're filing for your citizenship, family-based petition. I noticed someone mentioned the I-94 earlier. The I-94 is basically to show proof of entry into the United States of America. So it's important whenever you have an application or you're petitioning for someone in the US, especially for adjustment of status, that you submit the I-94 document. It's very, very important. So feel free to give us a call, 917-714-1082, and let us work for you. I noticed Francine Cruz, that is, just joined us. Well, we got to go. I'm glad we're out of here. I'm sure Francine doesn't have any immigration matters. You never know. But if you do, Francine, feel free to give us a call right here on Benschop Immigration Consultancy. God bless you all. And to all of our clients who are going in this week, especially those two who are going tomorrow, we wish you all the best. You have it. You guys have it. Trust me. We want the success stories. God bless you all. And to all other persons who are doing these sort of things, there's enough for everyone out there. Every single one out there. There's no need for the cat race. Absolutely no need for that. God bless you all. See you later.